if I have this and I want to hand it, we'll just let you stick your hands up, and we'll try to get to everyone. It looks like she's decided to be first, and then ask the questions, and you can pick one or say, I'd like to know what all three of you think, you know. So let's just go ahead and start with the word, and we'll adjust.
Okay. Roy, I think you're the only one that didn't talk about politics. Is that not your thing, or you didn't, mention the elections or anything?
I just kind of, it's here. No, I don't have a problem with it. It's so many shifting things. It has to do, in the political world right now, we are actually in put up or shut up, and we're actually seeing people's real personality come out as far as attacking each other. And there's a callousness there where I've actually witnessed families being split up. And if you're willing to let your family be split up, or your children stop speaking to you because of your political persuasion, that says something about you emotionally. When it comes to the current administration, and I made no secret about it, because I was the one that about 7 years ago made a statement when everybody was yelling for Hillary. I said, don't call her Madam President yet. And somebody reminded me today that I was the only one on the panel that said the president was going to be impeached. The thing is, I do agree with Chase that there is, except Chase said that he's going to be reelected. I feel like there's a real good chance the president could be reelected. It has a lot to do, and I'm trying to answer your question. It's not so much that people are, quote, in love with Donald Trump, but the point is he came in and he addressed questions and situations that had been on the table literally for the past 40 years. This thing about immigration, come on, that's a national security issue. It should have, and I don't like attaching hate to it, but the point is something has to be done. Either you're going to let people in or you're not going to let people in. And the same thing, the tax situation. And there's a lot of moral problems I have with him, but he's in because he's actually addressing things that nobody else will. And I'm afraid that the Democratic Party, they're going to continue to ignore what he has put on the table. And even when Donald Trump was running and he was putting all of his issues out there, no Democrat responded to what he was saying. And I'm not being pro-political, I'm not being pro-president, I'm not being against the president. This is the reality of it. If you don't build a Walmart in my neighborhood, then somebody else will come in and build a department store. So, taking care of business. Did I cover that more than you wanted to hear me?
Who's next? We have a shot right to honor.
This one's for anybody that wants to answer. What about the National Senate? Will that change when we say Republican, or change to Democrat, or get more balanced? Or?
Right now, we are at a point where we're going to have a lot of change, but the Senate is going to stay Republican. Our country has always had a balance of power, so when the Congress goes Democratic, then the Senate will stay Republican through the next term.
Any of you, can you explain the spiritual awakening more? Mine started this year, but I'm realizing that I'm getting to a certain point. I have mentors, I have things like that, but I'm also realizing that I'm running into walls. And so, I'm not talking about for me personally, just like in general. Is there an idea or a direction that we need to be looking at in heading towards, if that makes any sense?
Spiritual awakening is like all things are internal processes. Your spiritual awakening, your path is your path and your path alone. So you have to meditate and decide which way you need to proceed on this journey. As far as the overall globalness, people are tired of the modern medicine. They're tired of people working on symptoms instead of trying to find the cures. They're learning more and more that there is more to it. There's more energy in the world. There's more to the healing than just taking a pill so that you don't feel bad. We have to get to the root of the issues, find out where the blockages are, and remove them so that we can heal as a country as well as individuals.
Questions for any of you three. Do you see any movement in addressing global warming, either from the United States or any other of the large nations?
No.
I don't see anything that's going to be definite, that's going to make any substantial changes in the global climate and the global warming. I think that we are going to see a reduction in greenhouse gases, but it's going to come from the people. It's going to come from the collective consciousness. We are going to choose to find these alternate ways of providing energy and our luxuries that we so covet nowadays.
Phil? Were you done? Were you done?
Yes, sir.
Can I go back to this young lady's question? The young lady before the gentleman. Your question. One of the things, remember a minute ago I said that there's actually kind of too much money out there? We have because this is related to your awakening, we have a young generation, Gen X, and that basically have been taught that everything centers around throwing money at it. And they are very, very technologically savvy. But basically there is no, as we'd say in the old school, mother wit or any maturity about them. And we have seen drug abuse go up, we have seen suicide rate go up, and it is all because they have used money and sex and social media to actually avoid dealing with the true essence of self. And what I'm watching as the world keeps colliding with all of these, what I'm going to say, materialistic things, people are actually going to have to come back to the basics. Okay, I've tried drugs, I've tried sex, I'm still empty. Now, let me go into my self-consciousness. Let me see what my part of the universe is, and I'm going to focus on me. And I think that's part of a major part of where we are now coming back to where we are supposed to be going. As I like to say, we're kind of tiring ourselves out on stupid stuff. I'm sorry, thank you for letting me go back to that.
I wondered if any of you got anything about the disclosure, full disclosure this year, since we're having so many changes? Aileen, full disclosure?
If there are going to be any disclosures, there will probably be toward the end of this month or toward October. You're going to have a bombshell dropped in October. So you're just going to have to sit back and wait. It could happen again in May, and it could happen again in June. Because in May we're going to have a bunch of physical endings. There are going to be people that are going to be upset over things that are happening, and we may end up seeing disclosures at the beginning of May. And then June, they'll finish up with some spiritual stuff that they haven't completed in May. So probably May, June, and October will be your time for the...
You're not going to get a full disclosure from the government until, not from our government, it's going to come from abroad, and it's going to be after a major event happens that they can no longer deny these facts. And then we'll start to see the walls coming down, and we'll start learning about all the reverse engineering that we've been doing, as well as other countries, and that they've known since the 30s that there was other life out there. I mean, only human arrogance would ever think that we're the only intelligent life in all of the cosmos.
I've picked that the sighting would happen actually over in one of the Arabic countries.
Yes, that's the same thing I've got too, in the Middle East.
That the sighting was actually going to be in the Middle East, and it's going to be so noticeable that it's going to have to come out. That's why it's going to actually be disclosed.
And in the Middle East, we're talking Jerusalem,
Yes.
Israel, that area, and that's where it's all going to start to come from. And that makes it rather fitting that it would come from that area. It makes everything come full circle.
What do you see is going to happen with the royal family and Prince Harry and Meghan wanting to split off?
Which one in the royal family? Are you talking about Meghan and Harry? Oh, I think Meghan's going to rule. She's going to get her way. But I think that Harry already considers himself out of line for the kingship unless something drastically happens and takes out Prince Charles. You know, Charles has to be king before William can inherit the throne. And William's got 3 kids. And his brother would come behind those 3 kids. So they would have to take out literally almost the entire royal family. And at that point, if they took out Charles, then Andrew would become king. Not Anne, but Andrew. So you've got a whole bunch of different what-ifs there. But no, I think Meghan is still going to rule. She's going to keep Harry under close observation. And she's coming back to the United States, or did you not hear that?
Yes.
She's coming back, so she's going to spend half the time here and half the time there. She's the one wearing the pants in that family. And always will. Because I don't think she likes the way she's being treated over there. And I think that will come out. I think she and Kate have developed a distaste for each other. And Kate has made it quite clear Kate is going to be queen and that Meghan is not going to be queen. So you just have a lot of things that have happened. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch it over the next 6 months. But no, I don't think they will divorce. They had that baby real quick, and that baby will keep them together. And anywhere, where's she going to go and get that type of prestige or that type of popularity? You know, she is a hound, you know, for wanting to be in the public eye, just as bad as any of the rest of them. So that's my take on it.
I'm going back to full disclosure, and I'm sort of out of it, but I don't know what full disclosure means. I mean, well, who asked that?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I just need some extra.
That's when
That's
when the countries say, yes, there are ETs and they're here and.
It's about ETs.
Yes,
Oh,
alien
I didn't know that.
is
Thank you. It's about ETs. Oh, wait.
Sometimes it's a clarifying question they have. Next.
Okay.
So that's going to be May and June, is that what you're saying?
Go ahead, Dave.
Sherry's going to do. Is it May, June, or October? Yeah.
It was stated earlier that obviously the government is not going to do anything about global warming, you know, status quo, that it will come from the public. Are we going to see any scientific advances that will be a benefit in this situation?
Well, I can tell you the thing that I've seen most is what scientists call, they're going to find proof of what they're calling the God particle.
The what?
Which is the God particle, which is the very basics of all matter in the universe is, eventually when you break everything down to its simplest form, it is this form of energy, and they will find, coming out of the Large Hadron Collider, that this particle exists. Once they break the quarks apart, this is the particle that makes up all life and all matter in the universe. And that's going to how would you say it? It's going to spur on the spiritual awakening of everybody. Everybody's going to realize that there's more to what we've been telling people, what we've been the message we've been putting out, than just words.
Can I, go ahead, just
No,
say-
there you go.
Can I say something about global warming? I want to go back a little bit in history here. Global warming is actually a natural phenomenon that has existed probably for a couple of 100,000 of years. We are in a 500-year cycle, and within the 500-year cycle, it goes from hot to cold. Now, of course, we have other things that are happening now, but you go back, let's go back to Eric the Red, the 10th century, or 10th, whatever it was. Eric the Red went over and founded Greenland. Well, when he founded Greenland, it was lush, it was green, it was beautiful. 250 years later, they went back, everybody was frozen to death. Went back again, 250 years, it was green again. But nobody could live there. And every time that we have global, where it's warming, we end up having technology and advancements. And this is something within, okay, in the 10th century you had Eric the Red. The middle of the 12th or 13th century you had cold. By the time you hit the 15th century, or 1500s, we're over here in 1492, founded the New World. We began technology. We had the Renaissance in there. Then you go back another 250 years, we have some more problems. Then we come back again. We're coming out of a spell where it may not be, I'm not really sure which way it's going to go, and I'm going to say that. But there have been stories written on this in history books at different times. And so I share that, and I've come to think that there is more to global warming. And yes, I am hoping that we don't have as bad global warming, but I think we're going to see it for another 100 years. I don't think we're going to get out of it that easy. And then once we get out of it, or if it's global cold, if we get cold, we're at the start of something. So I don't know, but that's the end of mine. Roy, it's yours.
I agree with both panelists. A few years ago, I actually addressed that. I don't get very worked up about things going on in nature anymore because man, and I quote, with man was giving dominion over the earth. But that was based on the fact that we were supposed to be looking out for what is best for the earth. Well, we've kind of given up that right, and they've had all these global international meetings where all these countries come together and say, oh, we're going to stop frying tires in the street and we're going to stop burning this plant. The only thing is they never invite nature to the table. And we are going to continue to see a lot of natural disasters because since we're not taking care of the earth is going to take care of the earth. So I don't get all worked up over global warming anymore because it's like, okay, you village idiots, y'all go into whatever country and decide y'all going to do it, but watch the seas keep raising, watch the earthquakes keep coming, watch all the natural disasters as nature takes care of itself.
You also have to remember that these cycles have been going on since the Earth was formed.
Mm-hmm.
We go through periods of heat, we go through ice ages. At one point we were a molten ball, at one point we were entirely encompassed with water, at one point we were a snowball in the middle of space. So nature always balances itself. If we don't do it, he'll do it for us.
Yeah.
I have a question for anybody who wants to answer it. There's somebody that predicted that in the next couple of years, since we're on the thing about nature, that someone is going to invent a magnetic motor. It's like a free energy motor. And they said it's like maybe even 5 years from being discovered, that people are working on it now. Is that something that it will completely transform our, if it does happen, transform our economies for good? And do y'all see that as something that's out there in the ethers or happening or unfolding or not?
I'm not understanding what you're talking about. Like a magnet, are you talking about a generator of electricity?
Yeah, it's a generator of electricity. They describe it as a magnetic motor, uses magnetics or something, and it's free energy.
A new source of energy.
New source
That's what
of
he's
energy.
talking about.
Well, here's the thing. As with all great breakthroughs that's come through, money drives our planet. And it will be bought up by someone who can figure out a way to be profiteering off of it. The idea of free energy is a beautiful thing, but realistically, with human nature, it can never come to fruition.
It's funny you should say that now. I learned this on Channel 13, PBS. Electricity was never intended to be built. It was meant to be free when it was first created. And they were doing the lines, and then all of a sudden, I believe it was not Edison, it was one of the that decided it needed to be charged for. So basically, what you're talking about being a game changer, it may alter it, it may lower the cost, and it may kind of reallocate, but we're not going to see freebies.
What I think they're going to do is invent something that it will replace our power plant. And it may be as big as this table, it'll be small, it'll be cost effective, but we're still going to get billed. One way or another, they're still going to figure out a way to screw us.
Keep the money flowing.
I'm sorry to say that, but they're going to, they want the money.
Circulating the money.
Yeah. Vicious circle.
Someone gets paid, someone gets the money.
I'm not quite sure how to ask this question, but we are having all of the pulling from the earth in Texas and other areas of all kinds of, I'm just going to say oil. So with that happening, how is that affecting our atmosphere, our just say our atmosphere, but all that is going on in our land, in the air, everywhere. What's happening with that? Did that make sense? No.
Yes. To me, yes and no. You want me to just take a quick stab at it?
Go for it.
The first thing is, it's not just here. It's actually in the Middle East, it's all over the world, where not only is oil coming out, you have coal coming out, you have copper coming out, you have all of this stuff, and at some point you are going to watch the grounds continue like the sinkholes happening. Because one of the things, let's say when you are bombing in Iraq, all of that oil that has come out and all that copper that's come out throughout the world. A bomb is just like throwing a rock into a water. There's ripples. And that ripple is going to go out throughout the world. So you're going to keep watching natural disasters like earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes. It's going to keep happening. And of course, as the earth is destroyed, it's reshaped, that the fumes from the oil, that toxicness that's in the oil, that's still in the ground, all that's going to sink up to the top. And you will also start getting to see new sea life. And I do believe that's part of why we see new sea life now, is because the underwater earthquakes. You're welcome. Did I answer it?
Close enough.
Okay.
Do y'all have any idea if there might be any advancements for people that have dementia or related issues coming forward in the next few years? Do you think there will be any advancement in the care or treatment of people who have dementia or Alzheimer's?
We already have it. It's just, it's people, we're in a system where the system doesn't want it to be used. They want to make money. They're making too much money off of us. There's things for dementia out there. They've been it for at least 10, 15 years. And people are not even, they're not open to it. They're open to, I'm going to go get a pill. This pill's going to take care of it. Well, until you change the mindset of the people, they're not going to accept the ones, or when they do see it, they're going to ignore it.
Thank you.
Chase hit on it, and Brother hit on it, that there is natural healing and natural cures. I have one real good friend that watches over her mother who has Alzheimer's and is 90, and she yelled out in church, "The preacher needs to sit down, he's making a damn fool of himself." but she uses holistic everything. And this woman was actually given up for dead like 20 years ago. But she does everything all the way down to the natural laxative. So, you know, it's already there, but there is big money in keeping you sick.
You have to look at our Western medicine will never find cures. We look to control symptoms. If we cure you, we no longer make money off of you. Like when we opened up the healing center, we found that the healing that we can do there actually takes place, and over time people no longer need us. Okay? Because they've come to grips with the internal workings of themselves that causes the illness in the first place. And they are able to shed that karma off of them, and they get better. And then they start coming because they want to cure something else. But our medicine will never give you a cure in Western medicine. We will give you ways to control it, that we can give you, and you take this pill twice a day, every day, and you come back to me in 30 days and buy more.
Well, we know about that, so there might be, I mean, the holistic way, what you're talking about is probably where it's all at. But some of us don't care about it.
Nature grows all the cures itself. When the great architect put all of this planet together, it was made with everything we need.
I wish somebody would write an article about that so we know what we need for who we know that has this issue. You know what I'm saying?
Well, once it gets to a certain state, though, it becomes almost impossible to cure. It's something that you have to be aware of and work with your energy and work with yourself. Because once the decay becomes to a certain point, it's very difficult to regress to that point of where they were before.
You have to be proactive.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know of a holistic treatment. Can I say it? For Alzheimer's?
Wish you would.
Okay. Our long-term memory is the last one to go. And so if we watch the movies of our childhood, we listen to the music of our childhood, and start recapitulating good memories, then the neurons in our long-term memory portion of the brain can activate the neurons in the short-term memory and start to heal them. And when I tell people this, a lot of people get excited, but some people laugh. And so I just thought, but I've been doing this, and anybody that does crossword puzzles and all of this stuff, those help.
Any kind of mental exercise that you can do will help.
You know, all you have to do, you have one relative that has this issue, and you know they give them medicine, but you know they're also 91, and you're just thinking, you know, and you have friends, and you're not young either, you just always You didn't want to end up there.
The best thing is to keep your mind active now,
Oh, yeah.
so that you don't suffer the same thing.
Good, thank you all.
Are there any questions? There's one.
Yes. Any thoughts, additional comments about this impending alignment of planets that's supposed to occur approximately every 500 years, that's supposed to take place on January 12th? It's supposed to be issuing beginning of a new age. No?
We're always in a new age. We're always, 1999, 2000, we're supposed to be in a new age. I mean, every so many years we get that. It just basically is great to think about it, but when it comes down to it, we're going to put on our pants the same way tomorrow as we did today.
Well, Rhoda, give them some kind of an astrological bent anyway, even though there'll be another one afterwards, okay? I think that's what he's asking.
I'm just sorry, I'm just not, I've lived through too many, 1988, 1999, I mean, too many of them now, and the next day they just go on. Yes, we're going to have things in the world that we can't do anything about, but that's just the way it is. And how can we can work at changing it through small groups and doing our meditation and our spiritual work, but overall, it's the karma of the world. What does the world want? It's like we're a country of scallywags, thieves, and religious fanatics. That was what we were 250 years ago. That's what we are today. So with that, I'll say that's the end of it, right?
Okay. I guess that's a sort of is that good enough? Do you want to?
Well, I can tell you, I'll tell you this. If enough people believe in it, then it will make a difference. The collective consciousness rules. If you believe in it enough and you get enough people to believe that there's going to be a change from it, then there will be a change. But when you change the collective consciousness, you do it one soul at a time.
Thank you.
I just want to say something personal on that here, because having gone through the harmonic convergent and all these things, they are all met 11, and gosh, there's any number of things. Any one of us, I don't care how open we are or think we understand what's going on around us, we are such a small part of such a big awakening that we could be totally open, we might miss the whole thing. But the thing about it is just realize we were there, whether you know it or not. Sometimes does that help you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Because I know I've had that before too, where, you know, just somebody, you ask an expert and they just, anyway, I'll just leave it there, okay? That's my comment. So, who's next? We're doing great on time. We've never done this well before. So, is no one curious about the Cowboys and the Cardinals? The new coach?
I predict the Cowboys will not be in the Super Bowl.
This year?
I agree with you.
This year or never or what?
This year.
I believe the panel concurs on that.
See,
Roy, you might even remember this years back in the old days, Michael Jackson, the Cowboys, everything, those things would come up first. That's the nature of the original predictions, you remember? And they would always ask about the Cowboys' new coach. And do you remember, in fact, there's Marlene, some of you know Marlene, she comes a lot, she used to read a lot. And she just started out in her, she said, absolutely will the Cowboys not win the Super Bowl. Guess what, that was the year Jimmy Johnson came in, and everybody else was predicting because they wanted him to win. She did not want them to win, but, you know, so that does happen, doesn't it?
well, I'll tell you who wins. The person with the most points.
There you go. You can also predict the score of the game before it starts, right?
0-0.
There you go. So if you had that one before anybody. Anyway, so you just, do you see, I'll ask myself, do you see the new coaches being successful in the coming few years, hopefully? That's what everybody wants.
I think the new coach will be okay.
It'll be okay, yeah.
No excitement here. That's okay.
Every new car runs good.
I don't know about that. Most of them do.
That's the
He's
reality.
accomplished.
Go ahead.
He has a good track record, he's an accomplished coach. Fundamentally, it comes down to when Jerry retires and gives it to Steven, then we will see the Cowboys turn around and make a comeback.
So maybe you're saying it's not who's the coach, it's who's not the owner?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We somebody get on truth from different angles, so that's.
We've gone through some really good coaches, like with Parcells, and he run off Jimmy Johnson because of his own ego. You know, it's,
It had to be said, didn't it? Okay. Any other questions? Because we would just get them all in, so if you can make up some. Jim's got another one, okay.
they had one earlier that he got passed.
Oh, we'll grab Jim.
In Australia, are the people going to step up and take care of their animals that survive? Their plants, their animals, because of the disasters?
You're going to see an influx of outside money being poured into this to take care of the species that survive and bring back the ones that are being brought to the brink of extinction. You're going to see a large influx of outside money to take care of that and make sure that these animals do come back when they're reintroduced into the wild.
Thank you.
This gentleman over here has been asking a question.
I just got him on the way over.
In response to things that have happened in the Middle East, just recently in Iran, are we going to see any cyber attacks? I mean, and that may be affecting the United States particularly, not just worldwide. Are they going to reach out and touch us that way?
Well, didn't you hear the director of DIR in Austin talking about already 10,000 cyber attacks per minute coming directly from the Middle East? And they expect a lot more of them. And it's going to be real interesting to see how we handle that. It's also going to be real interesting to see how we handle the financial dealings with Iraq. Are we going to cut them off like Reagan did with Eastern Europe and cause turmoil there? What are we going to do? I mean, but we've got the cyber attacks are already being done.
Who's next? I can hear them, you know. I haven't been around all these intuitive all these years. I've learned how to hear questions that don't get asked, you know. Of course, I guess it could be said, always said that the worst questions or the dumbest questions are the ones that don't ask.
I think this lady in the front row.
It's like a talking stick, okay, even though they can hear you.
All right, I swear it's this last one. Speaking of cyber attacks and all that insanity, is there anything people normal, regular people do to get themselves in a better situation? To repel those things, other than just pray for it or whatever, the different outcome? I mean, how does one get around people that are insane? See, I don't know how you work on that.
Well, first thing, when you're sitting at your computer, know that nobody has died and left you $52 million, and all you're having to do is going. Well, the big thing is going into familiar, unfamiliar sites. That's the biggest thing. If you when it comes to people telemarketing me, I have a philosophy. If I didn't call you, then we're not necessarily going to be doing business. And it's the same thing when you look at your computer and you see the stuff that you're not looking at, you're not interested in. Don't just sit there and just open a site out of curiosity. If somebody says Walmart is giving away $1,000 gift cards if you hit this link, you know, don't be greedy and sit there and do it. It's still self-protective stuff like that. And also, if you're on social media, don't feel a need to comment on everything or sit there and go in and like everything, because when you do a stroke on social media, that social media is going to be registering somewhere. It's going to be marketing you, it's going to be looking to do something. And it's not only does the good people get your information, the not so nice people get your information too.
Well, I knew everything you just said. I'm just speaking, I think, generally about, so if they did make an intrusion into our finances through the state.
Let's look at, I just don't get how people do that. How will we handle that? That's what I'm saying. What would they do down there? If, let's say they stop
Please hold that closer to your mouth.
everybody's social security, okay? Just as an example.
They can't hear you, they can't hear you.
I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, so, let's say, just as a, put it out there, like somebody hacked into our social security system, what would we do about that? Just curious.
One of the things that I do, wait a minute, did I cut somebody off? I don't know.
No.
I am a degree accountant, so I can be kind of anal. I've got this thing. I want my bank statement in paper. I'm not into all of this go paperless, go paperless, go paperless, because if you,
I still write checks.
yeah, and they send me copies of my checks. So most corporations, banks, they have what's called generation of information. They'll have what's called 3 or 4 generations, which means they can go back 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks. So if there's a cyber attack today that messes up your report, they can go pull the disk from yesterday, the day before, and they can actually recreate. They'll actually recreate what has been destroyed. But I like to have my paperwork, because if I have my paperwork, then I can support exactly what I'm saying. I don't believe in the infallibility of technology.
No, because I mean, let me ask you a question. How many people in this room have been talking about wanting to buy something, and the next thing you so, you open up your web browser and you've got 20 ads for that?
Yes.
All right, so technology is not infallible, and the wrong people can very easily get in and corrupt any information out there. So, like you said, take your paperwork, keep your documents stored and protected, so that if it does happen, you have a backup and a means to prove your case.
Yeah, it's real helpful, because, average normal people don't anticipate crazy. But when if you have an idea of how to protect yourself,
Well, and people will say, $5 will give you $5 if you go paperless, and they get so caught in that $5, they don't realize the fallout of the long-term consequences. Because, like Tisha said, I've gone online, put something in a cart, go back 5 minutes later, it's either not there or it's a totally different price.
There have been references to military conflict, and we're all watching what's happening in the building. Is there any chance that that could actually spill over into a hot war?
Oh, yes. It's very probable at this point that there will be retaliations. And the problem with the bad part about all of this is the only people who are going to suffer are the common people in our land right now. The people out in the streets are the ones who are going to suffer. But yeah, it's very probable that it's going to escalate into a full military.
Is it going to be like the wars we're still in, where it just goes on and on and on and on?
Yes, because we have this fundamental belief these days that if we conquer and we beat somebody in a war, it's our obligation to rebuild them and make the environment that they're in stable. And the one backflaw of that, not trying to say it, is you cannot make a fanatical regime reasonable.
You can't kill ideas.
No.
There's nothing more dangerous than a true believer. And these people going in it, they really, really believe. And this is not, when you are dealing with factions, You can't sit down and go, Mr. President, we want to have a conversation at your palace, or King so-and-so, we want to sit, because you've got this guy that used to be a mechanic, now leading a whole revolt or a whole revolution. And there is no one particular individual that you can negotiate with, and that's what makes it very, very dangerous. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Geneva Convention, but that is basically the rules by which we can have a war by. You know, you're not going to kick my guy over here, and we're not going to dump on your oil field, and we're going to give your vegetarians veggie meals. You know, that's the Geneva Convention. Well, these terrorists, it's like, we don't read that. We're not part of that. We're here to win and conquer. We're not systematically doing things, so it is going to be very, very, what I'm going to say, dangerous, sensitive time. And yeah, their retaliation is going to be quick and swift. And unfortunately, one of the tough things, though, the way the president has dealt with things, he's hacked off our allies, and it's going to take a long time to really rebuild those relationships. Now, I will also tell you, he said they needed to be pulling their own fair share of weight. And that was true. They really needed to do that. But the way he went about it kind of puts us at more of a risk than what you would imagine.
Thank you.
We have time for one more good question. That will be exactly on time. So who has that one question? I mean, it could be me, but I'm not going to answer. Well, I have lots of questions. David.
I just wonder if any of you got anything about the world's secret government.
Not much we can do about it. It's there, it's gonna stay there, it's gonna always be hidden. I'd love for it to be disclosed, just like she was talking about disclosure, but I don't see how it's gonna be disclosed. That's my opinion.
There you go. Well, I have a little inside knowledge here. I've known David for a bunch of years, and he reads Sedona Journal. And for every question, there's whether they come true or not, there's very interesting answers you may not have thought of. Right?
Well, from the journal, I have got read that they know they're losing, but they're just fighting to the death.
Yeah.
Well, they control too much of the world's economy to really lose. As long as you have the power of the dollar behind you in our society today, you can maintain this enigma of invincibility.
But that's going to change.
But it won't change.
Change is essential. It's natural. And, you know, people joke about, will we ever have peace on earth? Yes, we will.
Yeah, but we're no longer here.
No. When our hearts determine our actions.
What we want is harmony on earth. Harmony, to live in harmony. When you're at peace, you're dead. And think about it this way. When you're at peace, what do we say when you rest in peace? That means you're dead, you're gone. We really need more harmony in the world rather than peace. Harmony means that we're all living together, all getting along, all doing things together. But we have been trained through many, many millions of years, or however long it is, to say at peace. But you think about what peace really means. It's dead, nothing's moving. When you're in harmony, everything is flowing properly. Think about that for a minute.
That's good. That's a good point. Yes.
I forgot to say the book is $10.
Okay, we'll cover that.
For the masses that are
We'll cover that. Well, I think an appropriate, maybe it's just Everybody familiar with Henry David Thoreau? And I forget who it was. Somebody asked him a long time ago if he had made his peace with his maker. His response was, I wasn't aware that we quarreled. That's the way I feel about it. So, well, that finished right on time for that. And what we're going to do, yes, of course, definitely